Good evening, everyone. This is the Historic Districts Commission. Thank you all for coming. It is June 13th on this lovely day, Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order. As always, the first items for discussion are just, given we have 3 voting members here tonight, Ronnie, myself, and Mike, we need to add 2 other individuals to vote. And we've got 3 new applications. So if on the first one, for 119 South, I know that Justin, you were at the, Thomas, you were at the site visit too, right?
No, I was not.
Okay, you were not, okay. And Ben, you were there. Okay, so Ben and Justin, can you be the 4th and 5th on that one? And on 74, Pleasant Street,
I think we've got the same situation.
same situation all the way through with all these. Okay.
So I would be fine with.
You're okay, just,
Yeah.
I'll ask you to chime in and,
Yeah.
so, all right, great. Perfect. Okay. And with that, are there any conflicts that, need to be discussed on any of these applications?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay, let's start with 119 South Street. How are you? Do you want to come on up and sit at the table here? We got a couple seats. I think the mics are on. And really appreciate you coming in tonight. Thank you for having us out last weekend. Amy, what is your name, sir?
John.
Nice to meet you.
Same here.
Okay.
Pleasure's mine.
So Amy and John are here tonight. They would like to make some changes. There's already some maintenance work going on in their house, but there were some asbestos shingles that were on for quite some time on the exterior. Those have been taken out,
Yes.
and there's clapboards remaining, and there's some insulation that's been blown in through
Right.
through some of the holes in the clapboards that are there right now. And what they would like to do is they would like to install some hardy planks around the house and some other composite materials along the windows, exterior of the windows. And maybe Amy, you discussed a lot of it over the weekend with us, but maybe if you want to, I know Thomas wasn't there, and just for the audience, if you want to just get us up to speed on what we talked about, that would be great.
Yeah, so we were under the impression that we had asbestos up there for at least 40 years, probably 50 years. We didn't own the house then, and it's been on there all these years, and my husband John has painted it regularly, and the house, painting it is not an option anymore for us, for him. So we thought the hardy plank would be a good replacement for the asbestos, and would be better, look better than the asbestos did. And so April 17th, I think it was, yeah. The asbestos, we had that removed, and we applied, or the contractor applied for a permit 9 days later for, to install hardy plank. And then 5 days after that, we got the word that hardy plank wasn't going to be acceptable because it's in the historic district. So we didn't know that before. And probably if we had applied to replace the hardy plank at the same time before the asbestos was removed, I think that there probably wouldn't have been a problem, because it's sort of, both of them are less than acceptable. Asbestos is not acceptable, and apparently hardy plank isn't, but we'd be replacing one thing with the other. But I didn't know that at the time. I thought the building down the street, I thought was in the historic district, South Shore Bank, looks like hardy plank on the outside. I thought, oh, this'll work. It looks better, and it wouldn't have to be painted so frequently. So anyway, in the interim, we had insulation blown in because we had no insulation. So that's probably why they I would assume, I don't know, put the asbestos on the outside. And it worked really well because we were never cold in the house. And, it was kind of cozy. And I thought, well, it's ugly, but it's working. And so when I called the contractor, I got thinking, now we have nothing on the house after they had taken it off. And I called him and I said, do you think we need to put insulation in? Is this the right time to do this? Probably before we cover it up again. And he said, oh yeah, you definitely want to get it insulated. And so they were there all day. They insulated, they blew it in. And until the end, it went off really well, but then it went through the wall. So then that was a little glitch that we had to have repaired. And anyway, so.
We're kind of stuck.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming in. I'm sorry that it's been such a difficult process for you in terms of the maintenance of keeping the house going, but, and thanks for coming in last time
Sure.
too, to kind of get us up to speed and having us out over the weekend,
we
so.
painted the house. I've painted it myself 5 times, and we've had it painted at least 3 other times. We
Yeah.
can't afford to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So we felt it was the right thing to do, and we knew we needed to have it insulated, as we said. And we didn't realize that there was a little technicality if we were just going to grandfather the asbestos in. And had we known that, we would have waited. But we feel that we're doing this into the right intentions.
Right.
And the cost of anything other than the hardy plank at this point, we've investigated, we've researched it, and it would be extremely unaffordable for us. So we're kind of stuck. We don't know what to do at this point. And we believe that by replacing the asbestos with a like matter that's at least acceptable, and we feel it'll fit right in, and it will look tremendously better. I've kept that house up. I've owned it for 40 years, and I've kept the property up as best I can. And, we just feel that it would be unacceptable. We would respectfully request that we're allowed to do it.
Okay. Good, thank you. Any comments from the audience, questions? Okay. I'd like to kind of start with some of the questions. Anything come to mind?
Don't all speak at one time now.
I have some questions.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead, Ben?
So I read in the application that you'd like to do a hardy plank with a smooth side out. It's a pre-finished product.
Yes.
And you've called out the color. On the trim, you want to replace all the trim with PVC. So the existing window trim as well as corner boards.
It's in pretty rough shape. It does need to be replaced.
Yeah,
The
they-
corner
they
boards,
can.
the trim, yes.
And what was covering the trim?
Nothing.
Nothing.
So
That-
those were
the-
exposed. The asbestos
Yeah.
was over the.
The asbestos
clapboard.
covered the corner boards, and the window trim
Yeah.
itself was exposed. But it's pretty worn out. It's deteriorated. A lot of the sills are deteriorated.
Right.
We're keeping the old windows,
Right.
and we're going to replace, we have storms on them, but the storms are like 30, 35 years old or
Yes.
something.
Bought them, I put them up when I bought the house in 1981.
Okay.
So we're
So,
going to replace the storms eventually. And we're going to revamp the windows as they are. And we learned over a period of time that we don't want vinyl windows or anything like that. So, and we were told that the windows we had are the original windows in the house. It goes back to 1942. And other than being a little painted over and sticky, they're fine. And I'm replacing them one at a time as we can afford it, and I've done that to a few of them. So we feel like we're bringing it right back to its original, its original status or original shape.
Well, we're a board of preservationists. That's
Yes.
why we're here.
Correct.
I would prefer to see wood corner boards, wood trim around the windows, any that need to be replaced, and if not scraped, and a nice oil-based primer and for a base coat and top coat. I appreciate you're keeping the wood windows.
Yes.
My only concern is this PVC trim. Given
Okay.
the nature of the application, their certificate. I don't have a problem with the hardy plank. You basically had asbestos shingles. You
Yes.
can maintain that violation.
Right.
Can't buy asbestos shingles anymore,
Right.
so I can appreciate you needing to replace those. But for the trim, PVC, I don't know an example of when this board has approved PVC trim except when it's in contact with the ground.
Okay.
So that's my concern
Okay,
with the application.
okay, that's.
So we would have to
It's-
have them remove that and then put
just
wood
They're going to replace,
around the frames of the windows.
instead of removing it and putting PVC in. So it's just a substitute of, if I understand you correctly, it's substituting the PVC with wood.
If you have to replace any of the rotted wood, then I would.
Replace it with wood.
Yes.
I've-
Like
that's
kind
realistic.
exchange.
Right, of course.
On the windows,
Right.
not the corner boards.
No, the corner boards.
Corner boards, any wood, corner boards, trim around the windows,
Uh-huh.
soffits, fascia.
Okay.
Well, we'll have to
we need
find out
We
what
have
that
to
would-
find out what it'll cost, because that wasn't factored in, but
Yeah, do you have some idea? Is that cheaper then, or is it more expensive than PVC?
I can't speak for your contractor. I'm sure you can get you those numbers.
right,
Okay.
okay.
Because I've talked to several contractors before I went with these people, and they all, Mike Handrahan was one of them, would replace it with PVC. And there was another company that does hardy plank that also wanted to replace it with PVC. And there was a third one, I'm trying to think of who that was. Because it would be painted, so, it would be
Yeah.
painted. We're not going to leave it shiny. And it would hold up better. It wouldn't deteriorate. I think,
Well, we're not a commission of one, so I'll let my
okay.
fellow board members.
Yeah,
commission
I
members
have a
speak.
feeling it's going to be more expensive to do the wood.
That's a concern for me, too.
The clapboards.
I'm not as concerned about the hardy plank because it was covered with a product in violation. And so in the past, we have allowed to maintain violations. And that's what I would see that as. And it is the right step. It is a step in the right direction for preservation. They have removed the asbestos, obviously
Which is worse,
at
yeah.
no small cost.
Yep.
Right.
That mitigation is expensive. I can appreciate removing that.
Yeah, I have gone around to see houses because it's hard to tell from a little square or catalog, or little pamphlet of what it looks like, except that South Shore Bank, I walk by it, so I can see it up close. But I went and looked at other homes in Hingham. Granted, they're not in the historic district, but it's very hard to tell. These homes look really great, and I have addresses for them if you want to go see them, because I know it's not the real thing, but geez, from the street, you can't tell the difference. Maybe you could because you're used to really honing in on that, but it looks great. So, but hardy plank's not the issue, I guess, at this point. It's
For me, no.
the trim, yeah.
Ben, how does wood look in comparison to hardy plank if you were to do it on one surface versus another surface put in the plank? Could you see the differentiation where it would look odd if it was kind of a front wood and the rear or the sides or whatever were hardy plank?
So with hardy plank in the winter months, it will shrink. You will get some gapping at the butt joints, where one clapboard meets another clapboard. And the remedy for that is they put a piece of flashing behind it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the typical installation. Whereas the cedar, a red cedar that's been pre-primed, you don't see that kind of movement in a red cedar product. So in the winter months, this is something I notice. I don't think I'm a builder, I'm in the trades, so. I can't speak for others. Otherwise, the finish is smooth. It looks like a wood product. There's, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Like a
Where the two-
16th of an inch, or?
Oh, no, a little bit more than that.
Oh,
A little
yeah?
bit more than that, yeah. So
Like
you
an
do
inch
have
of
to
an
flash behind it because that gap's great enough for water infiltration. But that's the product. That's how it works.
Didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Do you, on the materials that you work with, on the cost side of the equation, is there a difference between the hardy plank and cedar in terms of costs?
There is a different, so I think what you've done is you've factored over the course of the 25-year warranty. I'm assuming that you factored in the warranty of this siding, and that includes the finish on the siding. This is a pre-finished material, factory finished.
Right.
And it has,
It's not going to need any painting.
it's
For-
25
well,
years? Is
15
it
15
Okay,
years, I
so
think.
Over the course of 15 years, when you factor in a wood siding, a red cedar clapboard that's been pre-primed and then installed and finish coated, I know painting companies that will guarantee 7 years a coating on a wood product, but I don't know if they'll do more than 7. So you basically got an additional, you've got 2 paint jobs built into that price of the hardy plank.
So you think on that basis?
They're gonna be pretty close, yeah.
You think it's wood's the same as the hardy plank?
I think over the course of the two paint jobs, yes. Now, without doing an actual analysis, but
Right.
Well, the pricing we got originally for cedar, for wood, was substantially higher.
It's higher.
Much higher than the hardy plank, and that's one of the reasons we went in that direction.
so if they were quoting a clear vertical grain cedar, this would be
Right.
one that does not have any finger joints in it at
Right.
all. That would be more expensive. That's a tree that's had to mature.
That's what Mike and I.
Right.
There
That's what we
are
were quoted.
also, there's also a finger jointed material. It's a series of boards that make up one, sections of boards that make up one, that's finger
type of
jointed
thing.
together, yeah.
And that's on a horizontal.
Yep, and those are durable. You get long-lasting performance out of those. So that would be less expensive.
But would need to be painted.
It does need to be
Exactly.
painted.
And that's
yeah.
the other thing, because I'm not in a position now I can't get up in a ladder anymore.
Right,
So that, and factoring that over a 15-year period, and obviously things are going to go up between now and then. I know what it went up when we had it painted the last time. It was substantially more than we did it the first time. So, we're just looking ahead, because, my earning capacity is diminishing now as time goes on. And that's what we've been trying to work out, over the field. We're going to be there 15, 20 years at
Right.
least. So we're trying to have something available to us that we don't have to maintain going forward. And this is the most realistic option that we had.
well, eventually the hardy plank will need maintenance.
It will.
Right. But we're talking 15 to 20 years, and that'll be my children's problem.
I think the PVC too, I don't think it's gonna need maintenance like the wood is for around the windows, So that's a consideration. And I think a lot of builders are using PVC for that reason.
Outside of the historic district.
Yes. And we happen to unfortunately be I love Hingham because it's old and I love everything being preserved, I really do, but,
That's why we're
my
here.
kitchen ceiling
Right.
right now is leaking from all this rain, and it's a 30-year roof we're
didn't last
at year
30 years.
25, and the guy came out today and said, yeah, you need a new roof. The back is all. So I've got water dripping down over my stove, and it's
Yeah.
because of that. So, it's like, you want to preserve it, but you got to be able to live there, A new roof is pretty important too, so now there's that. And I'd rather spend the money hiring somebody to shovel than hiring somebody to paint. It's just like a balancing act. So I understand where you're all coming from, and it's a good thing, but started out with the asbestos, and, you know, that's why we're here.
I don't know what else to
All right,
say.
good. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. Well, I do actually have one question. On the windows that we're talking about, they were covered, the window edging that we would that you would be replacing, was that covered by the asbestos?
It was like right up to it, and kind of, you know how a window has a definition? There was no definition anymore
Yeah.
because the old boards were there, and then the asbestos on top.
almost a
So it
So it was
flat.
right around
Yeah,
to the edge of the
it
Almost a
didn't
window?
flat
look,
finish, right?
you
Kind of like
know.
what they do with vinyl, that they.
Exactly.
They
The
take away
vinyl
the
just
edge of the
brings it
window?
out, and they don't touch the windows.
Yeah, so
And that's what the
there was
asbestos
no
was.
definition there between the two.
So in my mind, you know, we have granted continue waivers or grandfathered in products that would not be acceptable otherwise, but when that is what is on the house and sought to be replaced, we don't make people go back to an original. So in my view, it seems that both the siding and at least part of the trim would fall under that exception to allow the composite product to be used in this circumstance. I also feel that you guys have really spent a lot of time trying to keep the property up, which is also one of the
Right.
things that this commission is concerned about, that the property itself be continued to be maintained, which I think,
will
given
be.
the history of what you've done and what you have left to do, you're really striving to do. So in my position is that we ought to be able to continue the non-conforming use.
I think, I'd like to ask the question again on the window trim. The wood, the casing around the trim was exposed as wood, right?
Yes.
So the siding butted up
Right,
against.
right up against it,
Right
right.
up against it. So it was exposed wood.
Yes.
It wasn't, the wood wasn't covered
Was it
by.
covered?
Well, it wasn't covered
No, it wasn't
completely to
covered.
the glass. You could see the,
You
you
have
know.
wood trim that was
Yeah,
exposed.
it
right?
was,
Okay.
it's just, right now, it's really in tough shape because it's been painted over the years.
Right.
And scraped, but not great scraped.
Yeah.
Sorry. You know. So now it's like really not looking good. I can't remember the last time you painted that, but
Oh, it was
7 years ago?
about 7 years ago. And I
It
can't tell
doesn't
you how,
look like
how
7
often,
years
how
ago.
long it took me to scrape the asbestos. And one time we had it painted, and I didn't know this, they power washed it. And asbestos, if you're familiar with it, is like a sponge. And all it did was absorb water, and then it started peeling every 3 years. And I was continually scraping it. It got to a point where I couldn't keep up with it. Before they took it down, it was in terrible shape. It looked awful. So we couldn't wait to get it down. So we just feel that, you know, what we've got, there's a house behind us that has hardy plank on Forget-Me-Not Lane. And that would be a good, I think, picture of what it will look like. But that one is not a smooth finish. We think the smooth finish will certainly look a lot better.
I would say, I think what Ben described is a reasonable approach to the situation. I think hardy plank is an improvement over the asbestos, clearly. It's sort of allowing the violation to continue with a different product. But I think when there's exposed wood, I think it should be replaced in kind with wood. So I think I'd be in support of the hardy plank, but with wood trim where it's exposed.
Okay.
I would concur with that view. I think the hardy plank is an acceptable remediation, but would not like to see the corner boards, drip boards, and other items be replaced with PVC.
Okay. Well,
Well, we could eliminate the drip board completely. We don't need that. I was just thinking,
all right.
looks nice, but, and maybe, if we do the wood, so it,
Well, we don't have a number on it. That's one of the things that we need to have.
on the corner boards and the windows, to
Yes.
do it in wood.
And I think.
I can get that.
Impression that the PVC components, like corner boards, is not inexpensive.
It's not inexpensive.
That's my impression.
No, it is an expensive product, the material, the PVC material.
It is more?
it
It's
is.
more?
You might-
Okay,
Well,
then,
if
might
that,
be
if that's,
more
the-
then the wood is
economic.
good.
if,
And if-
and-
Double check with your contractor and.
right,
And well prime it
Yeah.
before it's put out.
pre-prime, yeah.
You may find some of the pieces don't need to be replaced, so that's also a labor saver.
Yeah, I checked out some of the corner
Yeah.
boards, and
The windows would be, yeah, you're right, but I think they need to be replaced.
But the PVC is not an economic
right, okay.
savings.
Well,
is
if
my
that's the case,
impression.
then, we'd look into it, definitely.
We were just thinking that it was more, we're looking for longevity here. And,
good paint
and also
job.
keep the price
Good
down,
paint job,
but
exactly.
a good paint job, is that what you
Good
said?
paint job on the, whatever new wood does get installed.
Yeah,
And if it's a good paint job, it should last for 7 years, and we'd mitigate it that way, that's fine.
we still have to paint that, but.
Yeah,
okay.
but that's certainly a lot less than doing the whole house.
Well, you're not doing it.
I'm not doing it either, but I'm just talking about the money part of it. All right,
Okay,
so
so-
where would we go from here?
Let me ask the board if there are any other questions, or any questions from the audience? Do you want to make the motion on this?
Sure.
I want to ask him about the roof, because we're gonna have to get permission. to
So
do that.
this is not a certificate of appropriateness. Got it. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion for a certificate of hardship for 119 South Street. Let's see, removing the asbestos shingles, which has been done, and replacing with a hardy plank, pre-finished, smooth side out, cobblestone color. This is siding on all four sides, Amy?
Yes, yes.
On all
mhm.
sides of the house. Replacing existing wood trim with like kind material. Do we need to make comment on the storms or the screens to be done later? No, okay.
Is the wood for the trim, is there a certain kind of wood? I mean, it's not cedar, so that's.
It could be cedar, it could be pine, there's a.
What do you, what
What do you
would
recommend?
you use? What would?
Cedar.
Cedar?
Cedar,
Yeah.
Cedar.
It's
I
a
would
pre-
assume the
a
scenery.
Pre-primed cedar, oil primer.
okay.
And red or white cedar, or?
It's a
does it-
red,
It's red cedar?
yeah.
And the storms would be, they'll be
That's-
replaced.
I'm
We're
assuming
not-
you're doing aluminum triple track,
Right, we're not
Yeah.
going to get fancy.
Yeah.
We're putting back up what was there.
right?
Like
No
that.
certificate required, is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
That would be a maintenance item.
Okay. And because this just came up, I don't want to confuse, do you want to keep going with what you're saying?
I think I got it covered.
Okay. So if we were to get a new roof, because apparently this fellow that came out today said you need a new roof.
We've gone through the roof.
what?
We already went through the roof issue.
Oh, good.
Right.
Okay.
And
That it's the same, because it would be the same.
And I had
But
the
we should
speed
do that
bump when I
first.
put that
right?
roof
That's
in. I
what he
found
said.
out,
yes.
and I had the right shingles when I did it. So, I don't know, I think I dealt with Andrea then.
Okay, so it's going to be the same as what we
Yes.
have
You need to
on.
come in here for the.
Okay.
For the.
But we should make those arrangements first. Okay.
Just fill out a form with Andrea. Just-
That was another,
Okay.
a quick zip, same form
Okay.
that you've already done, but it'll just say roof.
We're going to have like a new house.
Yay.
New roof, new sides, new windows. Not new windows, but frames.
Do we have a second
New
on the
furnace.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Okay.
Great.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you.
thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, good night.
Okay, next up, we have 74 Pleasant Street. Hello.
Oh, my.
Good to see you. Yeah. So this is for the demolition and construction of a new garage on the left side of the property. We were out over the weekend to look at the projects. Thank you for having us out. And do you want to just run through just quickly for, I know Mike was not at the visit, and anybody else in the audience that wasn't there, that would be great. Just
And I also did look up, it was asked when the garage was built too, and it was in 1980.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's what, and I brought the assessors.
Okay.
Or if it wasn't built, then it was renovated then, because
Okay.
it's listed as 1980.
Okay.
So we're looking to remove the existing garage and rebuild it to the same specifications as it is right now. The only thing that we're looking to change is the front windows, which right now are 3 windows with an archtop window, which is not historic. We did originally look into renovating the existing garage rather than rebuilding it, but after talking to 2 contractors and a structural engineer, it was the recommendation that the structure be removed and replaced rather than rebuilt. The foundation itself is in poor condition, and then the renovations would make it so that it would be better to remove the foundation and rebuild the garage. We're also adding a link from the house, which is not visible from the street, that will connect an existing family room to the new garage. So, and we are also looking to, and I know a couple people had left when I made this statement afterwards, we are looking to actually make the garage doors, they're a solid panel right now, we would like to make them a carriage house style garage door. This would be the look of the front elevation. And I can show you what the existing, so we'd be doing 2 windows up here. The new space, it's already a livable space, which is now an office space, but we would be using it as a bedroom, and a bathroom and walk-in closet towards the back, so the 2 windows in the front were sized to be egress size windows. We're trying to maintain the dormers on the sides as they are, which keeps the look exactly the same. So, and since we wanted to change the windows anyways to make them look more historic so that they would look like the rest of the house, we made those the 2 egress size windows and added shutters. This shows a view from the street, which shows you what the garage looks like right now.
Very helpful, thank you.
And then I do have a rendering on the other side, which will show you what we're looking to change it to also, which is the same.
Great detail.
Thank you.
So I think you had mentioned that there was to be a connector
Yes.
to from the house to the garage. Does that currently exist? I can't remember.
It does not exist. It's in order to get stairs from an existing family room up to the living space up above.
Okay.
It is not visible from the street.
Because of the kind of cornered
because of-
way it is.
Exactly. Which I'll go back to the photograph so that you can see that too. And I also do have a photograph from the other side if you want to see that, so that you can see that it's not visible from the side yard.
Have you considered having 2 windows in that second floor area to mimic the rest of the house? it's the two,
Two separate
the
windows?
two separate windows, each with their own shutters was where my head would go in looking to echo the rest of the
I
the
didn't,
houses
but
look.
only because, and I could try doing it somewhat like what you're talking about there.
Exactly. That's,
Which, I think we would certainly be okay with. I'm not sure if we'd have the room to do it exactly like that until I try it, because of the proximity of the knee wall.
Mhm.
You know, when we push it out,
Mhm.
once we got shutters in between, if there would be enough space, but, I think we'd be open to
yeah,
doing
the,
that.
the, as proposed in this drawing, it looks just a little incongruous to me. I don't know whether that's just my eye.
So you have 6/6 in the main house mostly?
Yes, and, this is an 8/8, but that was just to maintain a similar light size
To what's there?
to what's there. I did put in a 6/6, but I wasn't sure if it would be better to maintain the light size versus,
That drawing looks like it's 12/12, right?
yes, it is 12/12, yes.
But you want to do a,
Right now, the garage has cottage style windows, so it actually has, an 8/12 window. So the 12/12 was because the garage side windows would be cottage style. So it was kind of trying to maintain the existing light size that was in the garage as it is.
in the drawing we have on the front page, it's got like an 8/8, I think is what Justin, you're kind of pointing out.
It drew my eyes looking different from the rest of the house.
This is the existing garage, so it has the 12/12 window in the middle right now, and then it has 8/12 windows on the side. So the idea of the 12/12 was to stay in keeping with what was there for that center window right now.
But the house has 6/6.
But the house has 6/6. And I'm sure we'd be fine with going with 6/6, if that would be preferable.
So I think that the elevation that you just had up there, drawing number 2, I think that's newer than the package we have, because there's a little less information, and then there's still a note here that says existing garage to remain, install new foundation and slab below.
This one may actually have the same note on it. Originally, we had submitted an application to Andrea to actually keep the garage until we went through the process with the contractors. So that note is something that should have been taken off, but originally we had applied to just, keep the garage, convert it to a living space, and change the foundation.
I think that drawing also has more, so this is the drawing that we have.
Yes, and
That
I.
one has more detail.
Yes, and that's because I went back and put in the new garage door so you could see it, because after we talked in the meeting on Saturday, and then I talked to the homeowner after I had said that we were gonna stay with the panel door, and a few people had left after that, we actually went back and decided to put in that garage door. So I updated it so that you could see what the garage door was, what it would look like.
Okay. Because one of my follow-up questions was, is there any more detail on the garage door? Do you have a cut sheet? But I think that drawing,
Yes, and actually I did bring a cut sheet for the garage door if you wanted to see a cut sheet too. But we would be going with a wood garage door, we would be painting it black like the existing. We would just want to put windows in it instead of having it be a flat panel if possible.
and all the windows are wood.
There'll be LePage windows, and they'll have a 5/8 inch mutton bar to match the mutton bars that are in there now.
Okay. And all the trim, all the other exterior materials are,
Wood,
everything's wood. Clapboard.
yep.
Have you looked at possibly, so I understand why you have the gable coming off the side on the garage. To me, it just makes the garage look very big. Have you thought about maybe taking that staircase and putting it behind the garage?
I haven't, because I tried to stay within the existing footprint. Right now, the site is also somewhat tight. So here's the existing site plan. This is the house right here. And the existing garage, this is somewhat tight in here. I mean, there is, I suppose there's space, but we hadn't exactly looked at it because I wasn't sure with setbacks.
Yeah, behind it, right? So right now, so when I drove by it this afternoon, you have a small door that covers that little, it's almost like a little, 5 feet alleyway between where the garage is now and what is the playhouse, correct?
Yes, well, there's the garage, and then the back of the house is actually a family room addition off the back, and then there's a door in between, which is basically, this is the side elevation. So there's a door here in between, there's a family room here. There's a little bump out here, which I can show you on the roof plan. That extension doesn't go the whole way, so, I can show you the.
Right, so when I'm looking at it, what I saw was right here, there is a little door, a gate, correct?
There is there's no door, there's a doorway that goes from the main house, yeah, from the, there'll be a doorway that comes in from here in the family room. And then this is the link here that will go up the stairs and into the garage. So this is the gap. You'll come in through here and go up the stairs to the second floor here. And that's the bedroom and bathroom. There.
I think it's more visible than what the drawing showed or what the picture showed. So I was just wondering if, I understand why the garage, why there is a wish to connect the garage. I just wish that the staircase was not coming up 2 stories on the side.
Yeah. And I can show you a picture from that side of it. This is from that side of the street too.
Right. I don't know how anybody else feels about it.
So you're like.
So I was,
Positioned more up on the School Street side, looking at that angle.
yes, so like if you
See
come up
more.
from like School Street coming down, as you're coming down, I do think that you would be able to see this. So I understand the staircase and the wish to go upstairs and not necessarily use the interior space. So I was thinking, would there be a way to possibly do almost like a 2-story, something with a shed dormer off the back or something to that extent, but it would have to then extend the garage further back. But you would walk in through the side.
Right.
Like if you could still do a connector somewhere in this vicinity, but then have the entrance to the back so that the garage, when you look at it, comes out more simple without the 2-story connector. But I don't know if that's possible. And I don't know, of course, if anybody else feels the same way that I do, so.
So the gable that's coming off the garage, Thomas, is like, it's like the massing issue is kind of
Yes.
what you're,
Yeah,
what
that's
you're
what I'm
looking at
referring
here
to.
and kind of minimizing that as
So
best.
if it could be kept with just 2, it currently has the existing dormers on the other side, if it could just have the same dormers on the right side of it as well, and then have the entrance to the back.
Now, I don't know if it's possible, I'm not sure that the stair idea that you're saying, if that's actually possible to get that up without making it visible like a tower, just because of the clearances that you have to get, but, maybe possible to try a shed dormer and have the clearance once we got up to a certain height underneath there, and then have like a little low roof connector, like a cricket, like what we have lower now, in order to get the height as you go up into there, and just continue the shed dormer that we have right here, instead of doing this, continuing the shed dormer, you know. I'd have to see right now, because that too is gonna be visible from the street, but in order to have the headroom to get up, once you get into there, that's the only concern.
Is there anything that could be done to possibly move some of the stairs into the garage space?
Well, you could lose a garage bay and move some of the, maybe. It's like you're getting from, truthfully, I'd have to take a look at it, because you'd be moving up into here and then eliminating a certain amount of space up there in order to do it. And you might be able to lose a garage bay and do some of it. But this is a one-story link, so it's a headroom issue too. I wouldn't say there's not another alternative, but I'd have to actually look it on paper to know exactly what that would be. And I did do an elevation from the street side, which you can see. That's how much of the gable, this is how much of the gable that comes up above that existing lower roof. So this is the top of where the ridge of that extended roof in between is, and then this is the amount of the gable that comes up above it. These are just dotted in for reference, but it's actually, they're actually behind that roof.
Jennifer, did you do any other studies of the?
I
Did you
do.
have
I
the
actu-
staircase any other way, configured any other way, in any other drawings? Or maybe
No.
just in your head? Oh, okay.
No, I do have a SketchUp model video if you want to see that, of how the staircase works. The roof is not on, but it is a little video that will move you 3D around the building if you want to see that. I downloaded it. So
Given that the foundation is coming out, could this get cited slightly differently to help accommodate what Tomas
it
is?
might be able to. It is in a tight spot. I don't know if we went for a zoning variance, if it might be able to do that. I'd have to take a look at it and see exactly where on the site it would go in relation to that,
Now,
but,
in order to, I see, because right now you're non-conforming,
yeah.
okay? Are you having to go for a zoning variance because you're now gonna condition the space?
That's occasionally, and this is something we have to discuss with the site engineer, if it's non-conforming, but we're keeping it in its existing location and rebuilding it as it is and not looking to make it bigger.
Yeah.
It's a special condition, not a,
But it's not heated, correct, right now?
No, it is.
It
It's
is
an
heated.
office, yeah.
Oh, it is, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so you will, I mean, you'll have the Hatfield, I believe you'll have the Hatfield Amendment, the benefit of the Hatfield Amendment, so, well, I mean, I suppose if you can bring it back into the building envelope, then it might be more amenable to what Tomas is saying, an alternative staircase option. I just don't know what that will do to the rest of
But
the
the-
architectural details.
It does feel like the additional massing, though, is hidden a bit behind the rest of the structure. I'm trying to picture the view from School Street, whether it would impact School Street very much.
I don't think
Seems
it's
as
gonna
like
impact School Street, it's just when you're coming from that direction,
Yeah.
from School Street down towards.
That would be
down
the
towards-
opportunity to see anything.
Yes.
Right.
Jennifer, does the second floor bedroom go out into that gable, or is it all stairwell?
It's all stairwell.
The height of that is to accommodate the headroom going up the stairs, the height of that gable.
Yes, well, and also the gable, the roof pitch of the gable was to mimic the roof pitch of the existing too, so that and we could, this is actually a 7 pitch, which is the same as the dormers. So it's in order to take some of the roof pitches that are on the house now and keep it in keeping with some of the roof pitches that are there at this point, and still maintain the headroom that you need.
So Jennifer, on the plot plan, there's 2 existing sheds. I'm assuming the larger existing shed is really the playroom?
Yes, I think that's really the garage.
Okay.
This was taken off of, this is the family room. There's actually a link here. This, where it says existing shed, I think is actually the garage.
Yes.
And then this is where the driveway would be. So where it is in this proximity now, means like you could maybe move it over here, but then it's starting to block
Right.
what you have already here, which is another link.
All right.
And it's already, it's not like we couldn't move it back anymore. And moving it forward would
There was
would
really
block the
very little room.
entrance.
I can't remember very much room behind. It
Yeah,
was just a little, yeah.
yeah. I mean, we're talking about 5 feet in between this and this.
You know, when you look at the property lines, it looks like some kind of deal was brokered.
Yes, for this little piece right
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
I can see exactly what Tomas is referring to about the additional massing, but I do think that additional massing is mitigated to a great extent by how much is hidden, and also the sight lines of the left elevation to the neighbor are, is it the left or right, whatever, I guess it's the right elevation, the sight lines for the neighbors they're not, doesn't seem like it would impact them very much. But if you could minimize the amount of extra massing that would be created.
Maybe you just
I mean,
soften
we
the
could-
roof line, the cross
Soften the
gable.
roof line would do it.
So you've kept the same footprint that you're proposing here, but
Yep. The existing footprint is the same. The only thing that's different is the length. This right now is a 7 pitch, and we could bring it down. You know, right now, this is a 7 pitch, which is what the existing dormer is, so the idea was to keep them the same. You know, so that this doesn't look odd. I think it would look more odd to make this a 4 pitch and then run this somehow past that. That was more concerning to me than, you know, trying to maintain the pitch, some of the pitches that were there now.
Jennifer, another question. What is the height of the, versus the house to the left? Like, do the roof lines, are they the same height?
This is slightly higher, but, not by, maybe by about 6 inches.
Okay.
You know, I think, you know, I agree if there was an alternative to the stair, but I think it's tucked back enough, the way it's situated, and it's pushed back, it's sort of in the corner over there. I don't think it's inappropriate.
Ben, what do you think? You think we should see a study here on something that kind of minimizes this connector, or do you think that?
I'd be curious, Jennifer, I mean, I'd look to you to coming up with an alternative study. I'm with Tomas on the massing here. I'm in agreement with Tomas on the massing. I know, I mean, despite some of the opinions here from the street, I do believe that as you're coming down Pleasant Street, approaching that driveway, looking to the left, you will see this. And it is odd, for lack of a better word. My apologies. But I do think there are alternative options within this footprint. I'd have to think about it some more. Just something to soften that roof line, because it's connecting to a first floor.
Yeah.
Which is so much lower, and I think it's that step that's so dramatic.
Yeah,
You know, if this were connecting to a second floor over that playroom, it'd be much easier.
yeah.
Okay. Ronnie, I didn't ask you.
Yeah, I just, in following it, I'm trying to think of what else, and of course, I'm unskilled in trying to think of what else possibly could be done. But it seems to me that this is the only alternative you have to have the exit straight up to the second floor bedroom by design. And-
Yes.
And otherwise, you'd have to go through the garage and put a staircase there. So you're trying to get right to the bedroom.
Yes.
I don't see, and having gone in and looked around, I don't know what else you could do to be able to facilitate that.
My concern is that if we try to put the staircase in there, then you almost make, because the garage space itself is not that big.
Right.
That you're almost making that unusable.
Unutilized, right.
And it almost makes it, difficult. The idea was to try to keep the footprint the same.
same, right.
And to not move the garage and to try to do something that was as least invasive as possible. So that it wouldn't change the intent.
You know how the staircase is right now on the other side of the garage?
Yes,
But it's on the inside of the garage?
yes, where it kind of cuts in a little
Could you
bit.
do something the same way on the other side of the house with a staircase?
So a vehicle pulling in, the hood can still fit underneath?
Yes, possibly. I mean, I'm not against taking a look and seeing if there's another solution. I don't think there's a solution of putting it someplace else on the site.
Yeah.
Or putting a tower, or putting a piece someplace else on the site. I think that narrow gap is where the stair has to go just because of the site constraints itself. Unless you move, like you said, maybe a few steps into the garage.
Yeah, if you kind of just replicate what's already there on the left. Just move it to the right somehow so you can fit the vehicles in and maybe
The only
that
thing
could.
is getting headroom, like, because that's on the outside, and
Right.
then,
I just remember walking up the stairs and I felt like there was some decent headroom in there and I could get up into that room. And,
yeah.
I don't know, it's an option. Maybe it's worth a study, just to see what it looks like. I know you need to make some changes to the window, based on some of the comments, tonight, where I think the commission would like to see, a double window with different light pattern. Is that 8/8?
And
I know we got 6/6 of the house, but maybe 8/8 or,
Since it's the front window, I mean, personally, I would like to see the 6/6 just to follow along on the house.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see the big curved window go and
Yeah.
and have something like this going instead. But personally, I would like the 6/6 to match the house, just because it's the front of the facade. And if they choose not to replace the other windows, but use those, then I understand that. But
If it was something where we could, and I know you'd have to see it first, but if we could go to a shed dormer instead of a gable, where it would be a little bit less visible from the street, but we would have, and I'm not sure how that will actually work in with the rest of it. And part of it right now is that this is set back so much farther.
yeah, maybe you want to have a couple different options for us to look at for
Okay.
next time. The only thing I'd say on the 6/6 is that if you get something too small up there, it might not look right for the size of that, facade, the garage door.
I think that's what Jennifer was trying to address
Yeah.
in terms of the,
Right.
the shape.
the
the
space, so
lights.
Yeah.
it may just be too
The
small for
proportions.
that.
Yeah.
But maybe that's an option the commission
Well,
could take a look at.
when you
too.
look at the, from the street, you look at the gable of the existing, if you
Yep,
take a pen and cross out that center window, and you have the two windows,
okay.
I think you're gonna want something a little taller than what's there, but,
Yes, and right now the windows that, that I put in there are taller than, are a little bit taller. Than what's existing. Because we were trying, this is the existing right here.
right, so something taller, but roughly that positioning.
Yeah, so this is. And this was to get these to be egress-sized windows, so
Right.
that they were keeping the dormers on the other side.
Yep.
Looking exactly the same as they look now.
Are we asking,
I just want to make sure we're giving her clear,
yeah,
guidance.
I'm unclear.
Yeah.
As to, are we asking for two separate windows?
Yeah, separating them, breaking them all, separating them, and a 6/6 light pattern,
Okay.
and then a study on,
Each with their own shutters?
right, if they could be fit, I don't know if you can fit
I-
two pairs of shutters in you may be getting into the roof line.
Yeah, and that's what, I'm not sure that you can do that
Right,
either.
right.
But maybe no shutters.
That could be with
You
no
know?
shutters, correct.
Okay.
And then a further study on the staircase, is that accurate?
Okay, and maybe if you have a different, if you come up with maybe two different options on a shed, or just something that, a stairway that gets you up in the inside without a shed, that would be great too. So look at it both ways, along with this, and, who knows, I mean, maybe after these other options, this might be what we go with.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
does that capture everything there?
Yep.
Okay.
Jennifer, our next meeting is on July the 11th, Thursday, July the 11th.
Okay,
So, and I'll send you that.
okay, thank
Hey,
you.
your drawings are great,
Thank you,
terrific, a lot of detail here for us.
thank you,
It makes it a lot easier.
thank you.
Okay, sorry for the brief delay. Next up, we have Sarah and Steve. Al Kearney's here, I believe?
You can bring another chair up.
Yeah, come on up. The Swets would like to, the Swets would like to, and we were out visiting the site, thank you for having us out over the weekend, it was very helpful. And we got to take a look around, and I think you'd like to demolish a garage that's there now, that's pretty rough, and put up a new garage and some fencing, so however you want to handle it. Al, do you want to?
All right, I'll start. Sarah Corey, 335 North Street. So when we inherited the house, so you may or may not know, I'll just briefly give a little history, that we moved in 25 years ago, but the house has been in the family since it was built in 1785. So my daughters are the 9th direct generation.
You know, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. So that's, yeah, even in Hingham, that's a little unusual. So we inherited it from my father-in-law, Steve's father, and we had the buildings immediately. We brought in contractors to do the sill of the house, and at that time met Peter Bickford, who we've had a long relationship with. And he looked at all the buildings and determined that the garage was poorly built, was built directly on dirt, and was not worth saving. I don't think we thought it would last this long, but we're now feeling like we're a little negligent and it's starting to, look a little wobbly. But, it was built, again, as I said, directly on dirt. We did have the tool shed. We brought in the Gordon movers, pick that up and put a new foundation on it. We did put on a new sill, or maybe 50% of the house has a new sill, and then the chicken coop is okay right now. So So hence, that's why we're here today. But Peter was the one sort of 25 years ago who said, yeah, this is not a nice structure, it's not worth saving, it's not historic, and it's already compromised and not even something we can save at this point. So we really love the tool shed. So when we talked to Al, that was our recommendation, is to make the garage be like the tool shed, but a little bigger. So we thought about a 2-car garage, felt that it would dwarf the house, and went down to the 1-car garage to match the look of the tool shed. So it matches it in dimension and in, I mean, it's a really, I put a couple of pictures in there because I think it's just so cute. It's just a great, and that was an original structure to the house. If you were there on the site visit, you saw the 3-hole privy in there.
No waiting for the visit.
Yeah, and then we have and
the little one in the middle.
the baby one, the baby, because I guess they all needed to go out at the same time. So then the other problem that we have, and especially, as you know, development on Beale Street, at the other end of Beale Street, has changed considerably. And in just the last 2 years, more than 600 units of housing have been added to the other end of Beale Street, 2 in the shipyard, and then the one on the end of Beale Street. So the traffic is gotten really difficult there, and is we feel differently in the backyard now, as though we're visible to the world. So hence, we had a Salem picket fence before. We're now bringing it out a little bit to protect the side of the house and to give us a little more privacy with that Walpole woodworker shadow box fence, 6 feet high, starting in the woods, going to 1.5 feet from the driveway, starting on the other side, and there's a beautiful maple there, stopping at the maple, starting on the other side of the maple, and going to the front corner of the house. So we didn't want to block off the front of the house. We want, people always tell us how great that house is. We love it too. We don't want to change that. And then later on down the road, we might not be doing the fence right away, but, because I brought Walpole woodworkers in, it's going to break the bank. And then on the other side, on North Street, there's a little hill, and we'll go up to somewhere along there. We don't know quite where yet. There's a big maple tree that's compromised right now. We're trying to figure out if we can preserve that, or for how long we can preserve that. And then there's a pathway going up to the kitchen door, so it would go to around there. Not the whole way to the corner of the house, but just to that walkway. And I think you have pictures of the Walpole fence in your packets. So anyway, that's our plan. And we went with a little bit longer garage of 28 feet after a 24-foot garage in order to get stairs in there. Peter felt, because we have storage on the second floor, that it would be good to be able to access that safely. So there we are. Yeah, and I'll turn it over to Al, because or I can answer any questions you have on that, but if there's structural questions, maybe Al should go first, and then we can, I don't know.
My question was just on the fence. Is this where you would put the fence out
Yeah,
here?
yes, we have a lot of woods, so we just started kind of, there's an ash tree there. I don't know actually if it's in healthy ash. We'll go a couple, maybe 5 feet into the woods, and then along the edge of the street. Yes, yeah.
And would you keep it at 6 feet out here?
We'll keep it at 6 feet to the edge of the front of the house, and then starting again on the other side. No, I'm sorry, the other side on North Street will be a 4-foot fence, because it's going up on a hill.
4
Or
foot
3.
here.
Yeah, that one will be 4 feet.
But on this corner, you would put it at 6 feet?
Yeah, and that really is because of the traffic. And we've lived for 25 years with the Salem picket small fence.
So it's going to be open right here where you were looking to have the driveway going?
Yeah, the driveway's there now, existing driveway.
Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, Sarah.
Unfinished on the fence, are you going to paint it?
Yeah, unfinished.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that's a cedar?
Yep, cedar.
The garage, all wood trim and windows? The overhead garage door, is that a wood door?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be painted green, right?
Yeah, Essex green, the same trim that we have on the house, the bulkhead, the doors
Right?
are Essex green, I think. Did I say Salem green? Essex green. Oh,
You did.
good for me.
That's Salem green. That's a thoughtful design.
They don't do green in Salem.
Yeah, we went back and forth, I think, a little bit on the footprint, the size of the garage.
Yeah.
You know,
It works well with the site.
Yeah, the
It's a
scale
thoughtful-
work.
Thoughtful design.
Yeah.
Who gets to park in the garage?
That's a good question. We're still working on that. First one there. Whoever cooks. Yeah, that's probably a better rule.
I don't have any questions, I'm supportive.
Yeah, no questions, I'm supportive of the plan.
Yeah, I mean, I am as well. I think the only question I have, I'm still thinking about this fence and the height of the fence and the style of the fence and the height combined. Seems it's a bit overpowering in that location. I don't know if it was a 4 feet and then transitioned at a certain point.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. We'll transition to the driveways, to the driveway, down to 4 feet down to the driveway in a curved transition down to where the driveway is. But, yeah, we talked about that. The fence we have currently is a 4-foot fence. It is a picket, and it just doesn't, protect us. And it is set back because the way of the street, they have quite a bit of way. Well, it's probably, what would you say, Al, to the edge of the road? It's probably 35
It varies, from the
from the edge of the
house?
garage.
Oh,
Like, so the fence will be
to the
not-
road?
Not right on the
Yeah, I know
road.
the
but
property line. I would say,
28 is to the property line, but then it's
probably
another
30,
10.
33 feet, something
Yeah,
close
so
to-
another 6 to 10 feet before the road comes. So it's not right along the sidewalk. It's, the way of the road is still 6 feet into our property, if you call it that, which
So
it isn't.
just so I have it straight, so the driveway is somewhere around here,
Yes.
right? And so this will all be 4 feet, and this will be 6 feet?
No, it'll be 6 feet to the front corner of the house. So it stops at the
6 feet.
corner, and then no fence for a long time, and then 4 feet over here on North Street. So here, this is 4 feet,
Yep.
and that's 6 feet all along there.
But I thought you mentioned just now that it sloped down to the driveway.
Yeah, but it'll slope down to the driveway. The last length.
The last 6 foot or 8 foot section of fence would be the
Would-
sloping
Yeah,
portion?
slope down to 4 feet, right before the driveway.
Sarah, you haven't gone this already,
People being able to see around that corner.
Yeah, I think the setback is such, the maple tree doesn't get in the way, and the fence is gonna be on either side of the maple.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I really, I looked at that, and I kind of came to that corner a couple times. Really doesn't get in the way of that. It's a very gradual corner there,
Yeah.
and the fence is set back enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be set back quite a bit, as you can see at the front of the house.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be much further than the setback. Or than the lot line, than the lot line. Because we're going to the front corner of the house. And that's set back further than the actual setback.
Mike, are you thinking that maybe your standard, 3 or 4 feet from the corner of the house over to the driveway might be more appropriate, and then pick a 6 foot after the driveway?
Yeah, because 6 foot coming right up to the house there. Could you do, so for about 8 feet beyond the driveway, it'll be 4 feet and then transition up to 6. Could you do 4 feet all along here and all along there, and then the rest of it 6 feet?
Show me again on that.
So from the corner of the house to the driveway, 4 feet, and then from the corner of the house to the property line here, 4 feet. And then on the other side of the driveway, as far as it goes, that's 6 feet.
The only, we're going back and forth with it, honestly, but
Yeah.
with the traffic going by, and I don't even know if it's on your map there, but right, Beale Street turns into West Street right there as people go whipping down there, and that's like a big artery. And so the extra height there essentially is protecting the house both visually and acoustically just a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's why we're leaning towards the higher one. The main focus for us has been preserving the streetscape on North Street, respectfully, not so much concerned about the Beale Street streetscape.
I think Hans just made a good suggestion. If it were 6 feet, could you pull it to this corner here? So it's 6 feet, not right onto the
Yeah,
corner of the house, but it was further
We
back.
thought about that. The problem is that it doesn't protect that side of the house at all. And really, the noise on that side of the house is, I mean, I wear noise-canceling headphones, and it's only going to get worse. I mean, we haven't added that traffic of the 600 units yet. You know, they're not, most of them aren't online yet. And so it's going to be a logarithmic change for us. And already we can feel it.
Headlights as well.
And headlights, yeah. And just so you know, on the North Street, we're not going to the corner of the house. We're going to, we're really just protecting that hillside. It is a good
Pathway, right.
20 feet between the edge of the fence and the edge of the house.
Sarah, could you just draw it on Mike's? We just have a green line here. Just if you could just give it a little bit more detail on where that fence is going to go exactly, house to the driveway.
So that's here, right?
Yeah. I mean, the green line is I don't have any, you know.
The green line is where you want the fence to
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Al, do you want
And
to?
so you can see here,
yeah.
you know, it doesn't go to the corner of the house, it goes to here, which is where there's a big maple there right now. And there's a lot of space between there.
But there's the path that leads to the side.
And there's a path that leads
Goes
up to
through the
the
path,
back,
right.
to the front kitchen door. That would end the fence well before that. So I would say there's
So this-
20 feet.
And you
15 to
also
20
talked
feet
about-
between the edge of the right-hand side of the house to where the fence will start on North Street.
Driveway comes.
And you're trying to keep the maple in your, either
Yes.
halfway between the fence or behind your fence, not in front of the fence.
Yes, and that's the maple on the other side. We have two maples, one on the North Street, one on Beale Street, or beautiful maples. We have actually quite a few maples, but gorgeous sort of maples. So yeah, the one on the other side of the fence, so right here, there's a big maple. The fence will go 1.5 feet to the
Driveway.
maple,
So
stop,
it kind of comes in from
and
here.
start up again. So there will be a gap at the maple tree to either side of it, because we don't want to compromise the roots. So right about where that L is where there's a maple. And so the fence will stop 1.5 feet from the tree and start up 1.5 from the other side. And the maple is probably 2 feet in diameter.
What about putting that fence on the outside or the inside of that tree?
Yeah, the outside we can't do, I don't think, because it's in the way of the street. And we love the maple, and we didn't want to just lose it in our look towards the street. But
Some ways, can you explain what the purpose would be of that?
It may be a little, awkward if you have fence, tree, fence, gaps, fence grows, it just, I think it would look better if you had you made a choice either on the outside, the fence would go on the inside of the tree towards your property or towards the sidewalk. Pick
Okay.
one. Or just ending the fence maybe where the tree is perhaps.
starting there, not
Yeah.
going between the driveway and the,
I just think kind of picking it up and having a tree and,
Okay.
6, tree, 6.
yeah. Okay, we'll,
We'll experiment with that stuff
yeah,
to
we'll
see
look
how it
into
looks.
that. And then do we come back to you with what our final thought is, whatever you vote on tonight?
Yeah, well, the other thing is you might, I don't know where, I don't live there, so I don't know where the noise is exactly coming from, but it may work out that, let's just say you put all the fence up on Beale, right, the 6 foot, and you go up to the driveway, and then you kind of, well, that took care of a lot of the problem for you. I don't know. You still may have a lot of North Street noise. Anyways,
Yeah, we do have the train,
right, so I'm.
we have the train station, right? The west,
Exactly,
yeah,
no,
West
I
Hingham
know.
train station is right there. So we experience a lot of traffic from that.
So you may be able to take all the Beale Street noise away, that might be most of your noise, I don't know. And then if you put the fence up, say, and then you're still noisy, then you kind of come back and put up more fence.
Yeah, we're definitely doing it, Sarah mentioned that, in 2 stages. The priority is at Beale Street, and then see how it is.
Yeah, you could do it that way.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that on the part that's on North Street, there's a sidewalk, and then yard goes up real steeply, like at this angle for about 3 or 4 feet, about this big. And so then that would be a smaller fence on top, which is just sort of to set off that big side yard from the street.
And I think the reason Mike brought this up is that we've approved a lot of, 3-foot high fences up and down your street on North Street. And there's plenty of examples, and I think they look really appropriate for the size of the houses. It's just that you have such a great yard, and I know traffic's whipping by there, but it's great to have all those open spaces that you've had over the years and to
Yeah.
preserve that. That's all.
I mean, as you could tell at the site visit, we did have a shorter fence, right? And we put that up 25 years ago, and it, there's always been a lot of traffic, but it's just so much worse. I mean, and the Beale
Yep.
West corridor,
Right, but I think we're agreeing on the fact that the Beale Street is different in our mind, and from what you're saying, so it's
Totally.
very different than North Street. They're different.
Is there something that you could do from, instead of putting up a 6-foot fence, would you be considering maybe do evergreens instead?
yeah, we have talked about
Like
that.
if you did evergreens to the front, you could put a 6-foot fence behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It would still, it's just a much softer look
Yeah,
than a straight 6-foot fence.
And there will be room, because of the extra setback, help me with the language, because of the wide town right-of-way.
Yeah.
The fence will be back, we will have room to do plantings, whatever.
You could put it, you could,
Between the fence and the
you
the
could
road.
plant a hedgerow on the property line, on the
Yeah.
entire property line, and
Yeah.
gain back that much more yard.
I mean, I'm more than happy to do the fence in stages and do that original, from next to the garage to the driveway, see how that feels, and then consider the next stage if that's not solving our problem, or think about evergreens. Where we have the fence right now, which is here, between the shed, here is where the current fence is. We
You
could
do- you
consider
can do the
evergreens
hedge
there.
Right at the end of this, right at 3. I mean,
Or along the property line. So, yeah, we would be
There's nothing.
more than amenable to looking at that.
In what
Because
respect?
we are sensitive to the fact that
How
it's an
length is
historic
that?
house, and we don't want to, say, here it is, we're blocking it off. We don't want that. We don't want to do that,
Yep.
Well, we love
No,
the town of Hingham, and, yeah.
And I think I think if you wanted to do it, a 3-foot fence, connecting the house and over to the other side of the property is something that we've approved before that would be appropriate, and that's just me, but I think the commission could opine on that if you wanted to come back, and if you wanted to do it taller, then we'll review it again. And,
Okay.
we want you to be comfortable in the house and not wear, earplugs.
I'm part of that traffic,
Because
I take my dog to the daycare.
you and everybody
I go back
else,
home. I'm sorry.
You honk your
Oh, I
horn.
thought
every
you
time.
said you- I thought you said you're proud of it. I
No,
was
I'm
like,
proud of it.
Part
I
of it, yes,
contribute.
you and everybody else, yeah.
But you know what, you bring up a great point, because the infrastructure around town, and I know this is historic districts, but when those buildings are finished, it's only gonna get worse.
Yeah.
I can tell you if I leave here at 5 or so, and I'm going down Beale Street, the traffic is backed up
Yep.
all the way to 3A, coming in toward town. And so it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then well.
I'm not gonna drive that way anymore.
Seagulls.
I'm just going to throw this out there because Peter mentioned it. I know you considered a composite structure or something. He mentioned composite trim. I don't know how you feel about that on the garage. Matching the house trim, he said composite just works better, lasts longer, and it's the first thing that kind of goes. So I'm just throwing it out there. He didn't feel very hopeful, but I thought I'd just throw it out there.
Were you here for the first?
No, I just saw it. I saw it on the agenda. I saw it on the agenda. So that's why I'm throwing it.
Can we throw it back?
Yes, throw it right back, Justin. No,
We haven't,
Okay.
we haven't approved.
okay, all right.
Unless it's in contact with the ground.
It's not in contact with the ground. Okay, all right, that's fine. I just thought I'd give a try. I think it's going to be, I mean, obviously you can tell by that structure, it's going to look more appropriate, I think, for the house, and we're excited for that, you know.
No, and the board's in agreement about the condition of that existing building and its age.
Yeah.
It's time
So
for
we
it to
did
go.
ask Steve about the hoop,
About the what?
about the basketball.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he calls it an historic, yeah.
Is that going back up?
Yeah.
You could send it to Springfield.
Yeah, right.
Museum.
William Basement installed it.
Any comments about the garage? Questions about that? The new garage?
Looks great.
Yeah, we're happy, thank you, Al.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? How do you guys feel about the defense commentary? You feel like it was anything to add or any different opinions, or, you know, it's kind of, just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to opine on it.
Well, if Steve and Sarah are okay with a piecemeal approach,
Mhm.
right? I think that's a good, I think that,
Ron, you think that's all right?
Yeah, I'm actually, I was supporting what you were originally asking for, and largely walking the property the other day, really just brought it home. You know, I'm at that corner, not every day, but frequently, and you know, you do sort of forget what it's like to be on the other side of it, to be not in a vehicle. So I can understand why you're doing it. I mean, clearly, you have great reverence for the house and for the historic value, and everything that you're doing is in conformity with that. So I think what you're asking for is certainly giving you livability, which is really important, but I don't think it's jeopardizing the historic value of the property at all. So I was prepared to support the full plan, but if you want to do it in stages, I support that as well.
From my perspective, not speaking for Sarah here, but like again, the Beale Street, it's, I think, pretty important to get that taken care of. We're more flexible on the North Street side, but it's not gonna be the protection that we think we need if we stop at the driveway, for example. That
Right.
just leaves the house open, and that's not
Right.
what we're looking for. So I think to be, you know, definitely to phase it in and to figure out what makes sense on the North Street side is fine, but I think we're really hoping for a higher fence from where we start over there in the woods to coming around to that, tie into that corner of the house, just to protect that curve there.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's not, I mean, I'm 25 years in the town too, this is not the same town, very different. And that area in particular is significantly impacted, and I can certainly understand this term in the law about the quiet enjoyment of your property. That's what everyone is entitled to, and I think quiet may be not what they had thought of originally as this, but that is all you're looking for in this, so I totally understand.
Okay. Good. Yep. I'd like to make a motion for a certificate of appropriateness for 335 North Street for the demolition of the existing garage and construction of a new 16 by 28 foot garage in the same spot as the existing garage, based on drawings submitted May 29th, 2019. All exterior materials are to be wood. Asphalt roof to match existing house. And approval for the 6-foot shadow box fence on the Beale Street side of the property up to the edge of the driveway. Go ahead.
Steve?
And up to the edge of the driveway, that's maybe, I think I did hear that discussed at one point, but again, just to reiterate, and you guys will make the decision that you feel you have to make, but I think that fence that you're describing, it's gonna come down near the driveways to ease itself in a little bit. We talked about in front of or behind the tree, which I think we're willing to try to figure out what works best with that, but we're hoping that that fence extends all the way to the corner of the house right here to protect.
I think they're thinking will come back.
So up to the driveway and then continuing from the other side of the driveway up to
Or the other side of the tree.
corner of the house is, or I don't know. how
That's
to-
what I'm not sure.
Right,
Are you
so-
saying that that's two separate stages as opposed to just having the fence folks
That's-
come in and do the whole thing?
That was what I was saying, and my interpretation, I don't know if the board agrees, but it was for that 6-foot fence up to the driveway, and then that the remainder would be considered at a later date for consideration.
That's different than some of what I heard from the board. So if that's what you're deciding, that's okay, that's different than some of what I heard.
So, I was supportive of that. Voting members, just to make sure everybody knows, Justin, Ben, Ronnie, myself. And so I would be supportive of what Mike's saying. He's making the motion.
That was my understanding.
You know, we're gonna make a second, we're gonna need a second on this.
And I would be in support of what Mike was saying as well, even though I'm not a voting member, so that would
Okay.
also be where I was leaning towards.
All right. And you can vote the way you want, but I just wanna make sure we have a majority here. I guess we can figure it out with the vote.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want it not to pass. I mean, I'm assuming most are in favor of the garage itself, so I'd hate for this to not pass because of the fence, but.
Yep.
So Mike, just to be sure, clear, your motion does not include this segment between I'll call it the other side of the driveway and the corner of the house?
Correct.
Can we approve the North Street fence with this plan?
The 4-foot-high one,
The 4-foot-high one on the hill?
up on the berm.
Is it the same style of fence?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the question then becomes, we don't have an accurate dimension here as to how long that goes, so it's hard to quantify, the North Street side for 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet from the property line, or 20 feet from the house, so is there a dimension that exists?
The
for
problem,
that?
yeah, there is a big maple tree there, and the problem is that maple tree is dying. So we don't want to put the fence in until a decision is made about that with that tree, involving Jeff Handerhan, and what we do about that tree. So I guess we're waiting on that, but it will probably go to the pathway. If you come, see where the bulkhead is there? Yeah, if you see this picture right here, the road, the pathway comes out to there, so it would go right to there. So if you come directly out of that side portion of the house, come straight down, pretty much where the line is where that fence would stop. So if you look at this house, this is the kitchen addition.
Yep.
And there's a pathway right there to the road, would stop the fence right there,
On top of the berm, which is.
on top of the berm, just
comes right
above
down
the
to
path.
sidewalk.
So,
So that picture is actually fairly accurate. I mean, that's exactly how long the fence will be to that point.
so it's not actually turning back to the house?
No.
You're just saying it stops?
Stopping on the front yard, does not turn back to the house, correct?
Is there any reason you need 4 over 3?
No, we might be able to do 3 there, yeah.
If that's what's been done, I guess we've got the 3 feet of the berm anyway. So then-
Yeah. Yeah, we could do 3. I don't know if they do a 3-foot shadow box, that's the only thing, I'd have to look. I think it's 4 and 6.
I mean, these are things we've approved that are close to the sidewalks, How far up on, I'm sorry to break up your motions.
No, that's okay.
How far off the street is that section going to be?
The sidewalk is there, and then the hill goes right up from the sidewalk about what did you say, Steve, 3 feet? It'd be right on the top of that. It's not far from the sidewalk.
So from the
I mean,
road to the
sort of
sidewalk. is-
distance-wise, it'll be less than a foot.
From the sidewalk?
Yeah. Well, because
Little more.
maybe a little more than that, but it's right there. I mean, the hill goes straight up, right? And so, you know, you kind of, when you go down that hill, it's a little tricky. It would put it right at the top of that, or, you know, as close as we can to the top of that hill.
So when are you planning to install this fence, I guess? Is it?
Well, that I don't know. That portion of it I don't know yet, because I'd like to keep the maple as long as we can.
On here.
Yeah,
with
one of
the
these
fence.
pictures should have that. The fence,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I
Yeah,
got-
this is, actually, this is it right here. It's hard to tell because you don't get the depth.
the last picture in the fence,
Between the road and the sidewalk is probably 4 feet. I'd do it in like three courses of the mower, but it's almost just 2 spots. So 4 feet from the road to the sidewalk, then it's like a, regular sidewalk. And then the ground comes away from the sidewalk, and then it goes up about like this, and it's something, as Sarah said, it's too steep to ride your bike up and down. You know, and it goes up about here, probably. Again, when I mow it, like the mower's like this, and it's like, again, it's like 2.5, 3 courses. And I go, do you know what I mean? Because the mower wants to roll down, but then it's right on the top there, is where we would have the that fence going. Does that make
Is
sense?
this gonna be like a foot off the sidewalk on your property?
yes.
Okay, so what's up and down North Street is like, we've approved 3-foot-high, kind of open fence structures that look, you can drive up and down North Street, you can see them. You know, some are natural, some are white, but they're very appropriate. They look great for the front yard. They don't overpower the house, you know.
The only
But-
thing I would say, can we get, I mean, I have the Walpole catalog, I'll get it. I just, would it look dumb to have a different style fence?
As long as you keep it in the same color, I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean,
Two different fences on two different sides. That's your
And two different
concern.
heights potentially.
But you don't see them both at once. It's not like.
How do you mow that again?
Yeah. Right there. There's your answer.
You be careful.
there's too many questions.
Because you wouldn't see both fences at the same time.
No?
Not so much.
No,
Coming around the corner.
But there is something to consistency.
Sarah, when are you gonna find out about your tree?
Well, I don't know. I can't answer that question. But we can wait if that makes your life easier.
No, well, it's not about us, it's just,
Yeah.
we want to do what's right for you guys and for, you know, for the property that you've had so many years, you know? So,
Well, I mean, if we're coming back for the other section of the fence, if we need to, then we can come back for that section of the fence.
so, yeah, what Mike is suggesting is a conservative approach to how you want to move forward, where you can kind of do it in stages to make sure you don't make a mistake and make sure that, you know, everything works for you. It would just mean, you know, you put up the first section up until the driveway, see how it sounds, how it looks. It's not enough, you need more, you know, come on back and and see what's going on with your tree. You know, lay it out. Maybe just you can kind of, you know, put something up temporary to see what it looks like, and we can drive by and see that too. And
Okay.
you know, it's such a great property. You know?
Yeah. And, I mean, just so you understand, we had these same discussions, Steve
Yeah.
and I, as we were discussing the fence, the height, the balance between privacy and,
Yep.
and the aesthetics of, you know, the property. So I understand. They do only have a 4 and a 6 foot shadow box in Walpole, just so you know.
Can we see the 4 just so we know what we're?
Of course, I don't- I don't know if they have a 4 foot, that's.
So it's the middle one. Is that the one I'm looking at?
Yeah. And we
No,
can,
I think it's the 6th. They don't show the 4th.
Six, but it's
They're not
that
showing the
style.
four.
Yes, we see that.
Yeah, it looks like that mid-rail is probably at 3 feet, so you can get an idea of how tall a 4 would be.
You know, and I'd also like to have another look up and down North Street to see what the heights are and to see what types of fences we've approved in the past, just to make sure that I have a good read on it too.
So Mike's motion is.
Yeah.
what he's
Motion
got is
stands.
The one, the motion stands.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you can, I mean, you'll know on your tree soon, and then you can come back again, when you want to install the first part of the fence.
I mean, it really depends on when, Peter says
Garage
he
is the
can,
first, this is the
he
first
can do it
thing.
in August,
Garage is the
but I
okay.
don't know.
All right, so you got a little bit of time?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Well, I'll second the motion then, as it stands.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry for
Thank
the
you.
length of that, but I think it was good to go through everything, make sure we were all on the same page. Thank you for coming in. Great to see you.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Got it.
Okay, so we have two other pieces of business, right? So the first thing is the calendar that Sherry and Andrea put together for the coming year. And I think Andrea, as she's done in the past, has tried to avoid all the big holidays and school vacation weeks, and we still meet on Thursdays at 6:30.
Yes, we still meet Thursdays at 6:30.
Any, and we can always, make some changes in the future if we need to, but,
This just gives us a ballpark.
any questions?
Yeah, looks good, no birthdays.
Okay.
My wife's birthday's on February
In there, you do?
13th, so I might miss that.
Oh, you might miss that one, that's,
Okay,
January 9th is your birthday? Have to make it
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the calendar for 2019, 2020.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
yay.
And then we have the minutes from last time.
And then we have Sherry's minutes from last time.
Yep.
The
Any,
fabulous Sherry.
And then the other one.
And the other one, which is in your packet, that's the 2-pager.
okay.
You know, I have to draw attention to this ridiculous, why it prints out the R and the F on one side and the DAT on the other side. I don't know, it's always done that, it's really disgusting.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's people are wondering, draft?
Oh, yeah, this was the short meeting we had, okay.
Right.
That was the,
The
with the one.
Um,
I have to remind you tomorrow is Flag Day, so it's the 14th, so everybody put out your American flag. It is Flag Day. God bless America.
Do you want a motion?
Good, yeah, wanna?
Make a motion to approve the minutes for May 16th, 2019.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
And what
We have
about the
another
other
one
ones?
for the,
16th?
and then
April
another
18th.
April 18th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from Thursday, April 18th, 2019.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay. Any other business for tonight?
No.
Okay, I'd like
No.
to call the Historic Districts Commission meeting to a close for June 13th. Thank you all for coming. Work, guys. Thank you.
One thing I just